So my main topic today is asking you guys the question: is your gear holding you back? Maybe we're gonna get heady again, once again.
All right. Anyways, what's this about?
So this one here is talking about sometimes I've got so much gear like together and like a big board together, and I think everything's good, and I'm just tinkering with it so much that it's stopping my playing. Like it's holding me back from really doing what I need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to simplify my rig and get things a little bit simpler. We were talking a while back about all these pedal boards, and if we're going to look at them like we used to racks and kind of laugh like this is ridiculous, way too much stuff to fool with. Is some of our gear holding us back where we just need to shut up and play? You were talking a while back too about playing your electric guitar just acoustically around the house, and you're like, man, it stinks. It's not as good.
Mm-hmm.
But what did it make you do?
It made me practice and get better at my technique.
Yeah, you started playing with a bunch of other fingerstyle things and all kinds of different things. And doing that, you're probably going to find, if you haven't already, find improvement on top of that.
Right.
So, what's your thoughts? Is some of this gear holding us back? I know that sometimes it can, obviously, but
I think, well, it's kind of like when you're growing up, and maybe this is just us. I don't know the time frame that we grew up. We had that Line 6 Spider, and I had it on the Insane channel,
yeah,
and that much distortion did not make me really great at alternate picking.
right.
Um, it gave me a lot of leeway for sloppy playing.
Yeah. Yeah, you liked that Line 6 Spider.
I mean, I even looked at a Bogner Ubershaw too, and I tell you what, those are great amps still. But man, that's lots of gain. So, anyways, I think there's some gear that naturally holds you back a little bit. There's some gear that totally exposes all your weaknesses, like amps. There are some amps there's no hiding. You know, like a Carmen Ghia, this Fender, there's no hiding.
Nope.
So I think there's naturally some gear like that that makes you better as far as playing goes. However, there's also kind of like I was talking about where practicing acoustically on electric guitar, it's just not as fun.
Right.
So then I plug into an amp and I get sloppy or I don't care as much. It's not as intentional. I think it's not necessarily the gears holding us back. It's we're not being intentional when we are practicing.
That's a good point.
It's not that the gear is affecting us. It's that, well, I like this and I'm good at, I'm practicing here, but it could sound a little better. And then before we know it, we're just down on the floor all the time.
Yeah, staring at our belly button.
Right. Well, maybe you. But anyways, we're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the gear holding us back, but if you got ADHD, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you're squirreling all the time,
Yeah.
then you're probably letting the gear hold you back. But if you're able to be like, nope, this is what I'm here for, no matter what, this is what I'm here for, then that's different.
I think too, especially for live gigs, that's why I prefer a simple rig. I've went simpler and simpler for my live rigs, and it's made me so much happier. But it's when you're at home, it's one thing to pull out a big pedal board and all these different things and get it complicated and running, 4-cable method with your pedal board and all these different things. That's great, but when I go to play live, I want to be concentrated on the moment and serving the song.
Right.
And if I'm worrying about a bunch of gear and a bunch of these different things, a lot of times I'm not. If you've got a show where you've got things pre-programmed and it's MIDI controlled and all these different things, well, then you really can. Like, you could have a ton of gear. You could have a pile of gear.
Well, just think about studio musicians. I mean, I would get lost in the weeds having as much gear as they do.
Well, and so many of them talk too. Rob McNelly, all these guys talk about like, yeah, the whole record pretty much. I just unplugged my pedal board and plugged right in this Tweed Deluxe and cranked it up.
I know.
Like, they're not always using all that gear.
Right.
They're finding what fits the song and playing it. But yeah, I find myself, especially at home, whenever I could be practicing doing different things, man, the gear swallows me up.
This is when I have my biggest problem, is when I'm playing my electric and I plug into the Pod Express and I'm getting a sound, I like it, but I just want to tweak a little bit. So I start tweaking and I'm like, oh, I messed it up, but actually I need to take this out. And then before I know it, I've spent 15, 20 minutes just on the pedal instead of playing. I'm like, well, I just wasted my time.
Yeah, that's why some of the menu diving pedals is
That's why I don't have an HX Stomp. Because I would literally just be in menus all day.
or a quad cortex or any of that stuff. It would eat up my entire day. And every time I go to practice, I don't have the
Our willpower is not very good.
there we go. I don't have the willpower to be able to sit down and plug into it and be like, okay, I'm going to practice. Like, even though I built patches and made it all for it, I don't have the ability to not tweak. Like, I'm always want to work with something. And if I go to a live,
He's a tweaker.
that's right. If I go to a live gig, I'm going to set my pedal board down and I'm going to get my sounds up and I'm good to go. And if I've got things to tweak on the floor or a 4-channel amp, I'm going to be twisting knobs the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
But if I show up and I've got a 1-channel amp and I've got 2 overdrive pedals and a boost and a delay, like, there's not much to tweak there.
Yep.
It's all in this, and I've got to express what I'm trying to. So for me, I've got to be very careful. I know there's a lot of gear and stuff around here, but I've got to be very particular on what I put in my arsenal, because the gear will take away from my playing.
So maybe it's not the gear's holding you back, but your ADHD and the gear is holding you back.
Well, maybe so. I don't think it's I think it's just so common for everybody, though. And like, even just like reverb scrolling. How much time do I scroll on reverb
when you could be practicing?
I could be getting better. Guess
Right.
what? That pedal's not going to make you sound better, Casey.
Or you're watching these stupid videos
You're
when
watching-
you could be
Yeah.
better.
Turn this off. No, don't turn it off. But yeah, you could be, practicing.
Right.
So does the gear, is it hurting you? Some ways it does.
I think it depends on the piece of gear. That's why I just don't go into big menu diving pedals, just because I know my personality and I'll get sucked into it.
Yeah,
so.
I don't want, I don't want.
That's why I'm not on the TikToks.
Yeah, and I don't want an app to control a bunch of pedals. I think about that with the H9, like the Eventide H9.
Right. Or even TC has those.
Yeah, which is awesome. And if you can set a couple things and forget it,
Right.
that's one thing. But yeah, the gear can definitely hold me back. And I think it's just a good time to pause. And when we talk about all this gear all the time,
Right.
it's a good point in, our episodes to say, hey, hold on. Is your gear holding you back right now?
Does your gear consume your time?
Do you need to pull the ring? It doesn't mean get rid of it, but maybe set it to the side and plug straight into an amp. Maybe plug or unplug and play your guitar acoustically.
Right.
So, just a few thoughts.
Yeah. No. You know what? That started heady, but it got good.
Good.
Or at least I felt that way. Hopefully you guys feel that way.
Write down in the comments below. See you guys next week.
See ya.